Hello, everybody. It's me, Amanda, with Once in a Wild, and happy Wednesday. Thank you for attending our live stream program. And we're very happy to see each and every one of our friends, family, and followers chiming in. And please let me know if you have anything to say down below. Please comment down below. Let me know who's there. Let me know who's watching. If your kiddos are watching, let me know their name so I can say hello. And if you've never seen me before, hello, my name is Amanda, and this is Once in a Wild. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's not waste any time today. Hooray, and thank you for being here once again, and thank you for joining me today. If you've never seen me before, again, my name is Amanda, and Once in a Wild is our business, our company. I am the founder and animal specialist of Once in a Wild, and we bring the zoo to you. Zoo to you in person in the San Antonio, Texas area. By the way, we are doing that once again. We're very excited to be able to do in-person programs once again. We are wearing our masks and participating in all kinds of safety measures to make sure that everybody is healthy and safe. Don't you worry. But if you are interested in a in-person program with some of our animal friends, please let me know. My number is down below. You can also reach us by onceinawild.com and request an email or call back that way as well. But my direct number is right there down below, so you can call or text me anytime to get information on our in-person animal programs. We do also offer Zoom room animal encounters. If you would like to know all about that, let's go ahead and learn about that before we proceed. Let me see here. We do offer Zoom room animal encounters, and this commercial, I think, speaks for itself. Let's go ahead and learn all about Zoom rooms while we are talking about our services. So let's go ahead and watch this together before we proceed.
Stuck in the house with nothing to do? Did your students miss their fun field trip that was planned for them? Are you looking for a fun team building activity for your employees that are stuck in the house with the same old Zoom meetings from day in and day out? Was your child's birthday party canceled this year because you're stuck in quarantine? Well, have we got the solution for you? Our Zoom Room Animal Encounters are a great solution for you. In Zoom Room Virtual Animal Encounters, you can bring the zoo to you, but from the safety of your own home. They are fully customizable, and you can invite all your friends to join in and meet all the animals. They are fun, unique, and very interactive. It's also a great learning opportunity. And most of all, it's very, very simple. Just contact us to book your appointment and schedule your Zoom room. Then select the animals you would like to attend in your Zoom room animal encounter, and then send the link to all of your friends and family who are invited to the Zoom room that we provide to your email. And best of all, we can bring the animals to anyone, anywhere, all over the world. So visit us at onceinawild.com or call us today. We can't wait to see you.
Yay! Okay, thanks, Past Me, for explaining all about Zoom Room Animal Encounters. Those are really fun as well. But I do want to reiterate that here in the San Antonio, Texas area and surrounding cities, we are once again able to meet you guys in person and bring the zoo to you for your birthday party or child's birthday party, for office visits. If you're in your office again, we can bring them to classrooms, of course, for all kinds of learning experiences with our animals. Just let me know how we can help. We are still, of course, being very cautious with what's going on now, and we want to be very, very safe. Not all of our animals can attend, but most of them can. And yeah, so just let us know. And we're going on a case-by-case basis, and we are really excited to get back out there in society once again. Let's see who's joining in so far. Donna's here and tagging all of her friends, which is wonderful. Hello, Paulina. Nice to see you. I hope you're doing well and safe during all of this. Hopefully we'll be able to see each other again soon. She's in the San Antonio, Texas area as well. She's another zookeeper friend of mine. And hello, it's me, Dorian. Hello, Dorian. That's not me. I'm Amanda, but that's Dorian, and Dorian's chiming in. Hello, nice to see you. And again, just let me know who's watching. I love to know who is participating and who is enjoying our show. So that is very, very helpful. What also is very helpful is tagging your friends that love animals in all of our live streams, and also sharing our videos and subscribing to our YouTube channel and following us on all of our social media. You can find all of our social media links on onceinawild.com, and you can also to us on YouTube. Like I said, that's really, really helpful. We have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and Twitter. So where we're most active is probably Facebook, followed by Instagram and YouTube. So please help us out by following all of those things, and liking the videos and sharing the videos is really, really helpful, and a free way that you can help us out, right? So there you go. And another way that you can help us out is by donating or tipping us. If you like what you see here today, there are tipping options for you. Down below, we do have a couple of them. One is Venmo and one is Cash App. They're both at Once in a Wild or $ Once in a Wild when it comes to Cash App. But we also do have PayPal as well, if you have PayPal. And we do also have our Amazon wish list, which is found at onceinawild.com. Scroll all the way down to the bottom of that website and click the button that says donate to our Amazon wish list. And that is a great and wonderful, much appreciated way you can help us out by donating the items directly to our animals and directly to us that we've pre-selected for those critters. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Today we do have a theme, which is creepy crawlies. We have brought some tarantulas, we've brought some scorpions, and we've brought some bugs today to meet you guys. And we're very, very excited to bring all these critters to you. If this is the first time that you've seen a Once in a Wild presentation, don't worry. Creepy crawlies are not the only animals that we provide and show and bring to you. We also do have mammals, birds, reptiles, and amphibians, as well as our creepy crawly invertebrates as well, right? And you can actually watch some past videos. I might link them in the description down below for a playlist of all of our past videos for our live streams. We have so many of them now that are banked up on YouTube and Facebook for you to watch again later after this one's done. And you can watch the previous shows as well, like I said, and enjoy some of the other creatures. And if you want to meet any of our more cuddly, furry, and feathery friends, or even scaly friends, let me know by texting or calling me at the number down below for an in-person animal encounter. Alrighty, guys. So it's really, really exciting. Oh, look, Sarah Lee is here. Hello, Sarah Lee. Nice to see you. And I very, very much love that Donna tagged you and now you're watching. So that's so exciting. Donna's tagging all of her friends. And Paulina is also smiling at me. It's so sweet. Okay, guys, are we ready to meet some creatures? So who should we meet first? I think we should meet a tarantula first. So let's go ahead and meet a tarantula. We've got many to meet, so let's go ahead and get started. So I brought all invertebrates or creepy crawlies today. They all have many legs. I don't have any worms or anything with no legs out here, but these are all invertebrates. And so invertebrate means they don't have any bones, right? So this here is our good friend Blondie. She is a regular here on our programs. Blondie is an Arizona blonde tarantula. She is a tarantula, and tarantulas are basically just great big hairy spiders, aren't they? They are arachnids. They are invertebrates. They do have an exoskeleton instead of a skeleton or bones. Their exoskeleton protects them just like any other invertebrate's exoskeleton does. And tarantulas are kind of unique. Well, not super unique, but they are unique in the form of hair that they have. They do have hair, which makes them strange in the invertebrate world, but there are other invertebrates that have hair too. We'll talk about them in just a little bit. But their hair is very soft and very velvety. Tarantulas are amazing predators. You guys know that spiders don't eat salad or fruits and vegetables. In fact, they are carnivores. So that means they have to hunt for a living, and they eat other invertebrates. In fact, they might eat other spiders and even other tarantulas, depending on the species. Most tarantulas will cannibalize one another. They are very, very solitary animals most of the time. There are a couple of exceptions when it comes to being a tarantula that tolerate one another a little bit better than others. But tarantulas, for the most part, do not really do well cohabitating with one another. They will sometimes eat each other if they are hungry enough. So that is pretty awesome. And once again, don't forget, if you have any questions about any of our animals that we're talking about today, or otherwise, if you have just a random animal question, please ask me down below with the comments or in the comments. We appreciate all of your comments and questions. So Blondie is an Arizona blonde tarantula. You can probably guess where she's from, being an Arizona blonde tarantula. She is from the state of Arizona. That is primarily where they are found. And I believe they're found also a little bit in surrounding areas around Arizona as well, right here in the United States. They are a gorgeous kind of blondish, reddish coloration with kind of darker, kind of the top part of their legs there that are connected more to the body. So all tarantulas and arachnids in general are going to have two main body parts. Some of her web is on me. Two main body parts. And they're going to have 8 legs. And they're going to have 2 arm-like appendages, which are called pedipalps. Pedipalps are their arm-like appendages, kind of next to their face. And they also have 2 chelicerae, which are kind of where the venom is. By the way, all tarantulas and all spiders, to my knowledge, are venomous. That doesn't mean that they're deadly to humans. That just means they have some kind of venom. And venom is basically a way that they can pre-digest their food. We'll talk about that in just a little bit when we talk about how they eat. But they have those two chelicerae, which are kind of like the little mustache area in front of her face there. They kind of look like a handlebar mustache. Right now, her pedipalps, which are her arm-like appendages right here that I'm touching, they're kind of covering her pedipalps. Sorry, they're covering her chelicerae. I'm confusing you guys. Her pedipalps are her little arms. She has 8 legs, two pedipalps, which are like arms. And then her chelicerae are kind of in between here. And she is such a nice tarantula. She'll probably let me hold her in a special way to show you her fangs. So her fangs are actually right here. Let's see if I can focus on her a little bit more. Focus, camera, focus. Okay, so here are her fangs right here. Her fangs are kind of tucked away underneath her body when not in use. So you can kind of see them there. They are very large and very, very dark black. And her fangs are tucked away under her chin to keep streamlined when not in use. The only reason she would stick out her fangs is when she's ready to bite her prey or sting her prey or envenomate her prey, however you want to put that. They do have, like I said, those chelicerae is where they store all the venom inside of there. Kind of like venom glands for a snake, right? So she is venomous, but she's not harmful to humans. So if she were to bite me for any reason, and she never has, she's a very, very nice and sweet tarantula. In fact, she's one of the tarantulas that we often use for a form of animal therapy, which is getting over arachnophobia. She is a very sweet and calm tarantula. Guests do sometimes hold her gently. In fact, I'm a lot more worried about her being harmed than a guest being harmed. And I'm always very, very careful to make sure that precautions are always taken to make sure my animals don't get harmed, right? To the best of my ability. But she is such a calm and sweet individual tarantula. She hardly moves, as you can see. She was moving around a little bit ago, but she's really not moving anymore. See if I can get comfortable and hold her a little closer. You can see those chelicerae a little bit better. But she's so sweet and calm. But she is definitely not a harmful tarantula. If she were to bite me for any reason, as I was about to say, it would be equivalent to maybe a bee sting, probably a little less. And also depends on your tolerance or my tolerance or whoever's tolerance is getting bit to kind of gauge that. So if you have a low tolerance of venom, say you're very, very allergic to bees and whatnot, you probably won't be allergic to this, to be honest with you, but it might hurt a little bit more because you're more sensitive, right? So it's going to depend on you, but they are far less dangerous than a bee, a wasp, etc. But they do have venom. They have venom with the purpose of basically pre-digesting their food. So a little bit about tarantula senses. Tarantula's main sense by far and away, 100% is going to be their sense of touch. And that goes back to all of the hairs that are all over her. Her hairs protect her body, kind of like our hair protects our head, right? This is going to protect her from the elements and in a way to protect her skin, etc., her exoskeleton. But her hairs also help her to feel and sense movement, just like any spider. All spiders have hair. And that's by far, in a way, going to be her most sensitive sense is touch. It's almost like most of how they sense the world around them, to be honest with you. They have eyes. In fact, they have 8 eyes. Their eyes are in a tiny little cluster right underneath my finger there. And her eyes directly are kind of connected to her ganglia, which are not her brain, but it's the same thing as a brain, more or less, that a spider has. Spiders, especially tarantulas, don't have a brain. They have a very, very unadvanced form of sensing the world, which is called ganglia, and they don't really learn, per se. I think that they can adapt to new situations and learn to be calm, but they can't really learn and figure out things very well. They're very primitive, and they're very, very sensory-driven, etc. But their ganglia is directly connected to their eyes. And their eyes, they have 8 of them in a tiny little cluster on top of the head, kind of like right up here if it was on top of my head. My eyes, if I was a spider, my eyes wouldn't be here, they'd be up here. And then like animals like jumping spiders, they kind of have them more distributed this way. They have a lot better vision than a tarantula. Jumping spiders do, and some other spiders have much better vision than a tarantula does. Tarantulas can only sense shadows and movement and absolutely no color with their eyes. But that helps them to sense danger, of course. But their sense of touch is going to much, much more outweigh their sense of sight by far. So very, very cool. So another type, another thing about their senses, that's pretty much their two senses that they have, to be honest with you. Their sense of smell, we don't know much about it, but we do know it's actually more like sensing particles of smell, not necessarily smelling like we do. Per se, they don't have like olfactory nerves like we do, etc., that we smell with our nose. They don't even breathe with a nose, so that's not a thing with them. But they sense scent particles with their hairs. Again, they have special hairs on their body that are a little bit different than the rest of their hairs that can kind of pick up scent particles, etc. But it's mostly touch. And then hearing, same thing. It's going to be hearing vibrations through sensing the touch, not really hearing with ears. So feeling for sure, sight a little bit, all the rest of them kind of like, meh. I don't know if they can taste anything. I kind of doubt it. But they're very, very primitive, very different than us. Let's see what you guys have to say so far about Blondie the tarantula or anything at all. Hi, Ricky. Nice to see you. Oh, hello, Lizzie. It's so good to see you on the program. Tarantulas are awesome. She is beautiful. Thank you so very much. Many, many people are actually nervous around tarantulas. As I said, we try to get people over their fears. We at least want to encourage you guys to respect animals, even if you don't care for spiders and tarantulas. That's okay. I understand that not everybody likes everything like I do. There's a few animals that I'm a little bit leery of myself, and I'm working on that all the time. But as far as the animals go, we want to encourage you guys to respect the animals and know that there's no deadly tarantulas to humans. There might be a few that have a little bit more potent venom than others, just like a wasp or a bee or something like that. It might affect you, but it wouldn't kill you. There are no deadly tarantulas all over the world, and they come from all over the place, right? But especially in the United States, where most of us live, right? I assume, although I do have viewers from all over the world. But if you're watching from the United States, you especially don't have to worry about any type of deadly tarantulas. So you can leave them alone, let them live. They do far more good than they do harm for human beings. In fact, they help us out by lowering diseases. Did you know that? So animals such as roaches and flies, mosquitoes, etc., some of those bugs that tarantulas actually feed on and help eliminate the population and keep it under control. So the tarantulas will actually help us with those populations and help keep diseases down, especially like mosquitoes and flies, right? The tarantulas and other spiders should honestly be left alone. And please don't harm them. Leave them alone. If one happens to wander into your home, which is actually kind of rare, there's only a couple of times a year that tarantulas will wander here in the United States. Usually it's for breeding purposes. The males will actually come out of their burrow where they live most of the time underground, and they will be searching for females before they pass away. So male tarantulas don't really live very long. And before they pass away, their instinct is to go and procreate, to find a lady friend, right? So that's what they're actually doing. When they wander around, they're typically looking for love. They're not looking to hurt you or to harm anyone. So you can just leave them alone. If they happen to wander onto your property or into your home, you can either shoo them out with a broom or something like that. If you're comfortable enough, you can actually kind of scoop them up and let them outside. Most people aren't comfortable enough like me to just pick them up, and they're probably going to be scared of you. So let's just be real. It's a wild animal. So I don't encourage you guys to scare animals by handling them in the wild or in your home. But if you happen to have one wander in, you can usually brush it away with a little towel or gently with a broom. Be very gentle with them because tarantulas are pretty fragile as a collective animal. So just be careful with them. But we want to actually encourage you guys to respect animals in the wild because every single animal, even those mosquitoes, gnats, flies, and roaches, have a purpose in life, right? So those animals feed animals like this. They're in the food chain. So we want to respect all animals. We definitely don't want to encourage you guys to just let mosquitoes come into your house and live. I'm not saying that. But when it comes to the animals that help us with those populations of those insects, this is the best and most green and natural form of pest control that you can have, is having spiders, tarantulas, and other predatory animals that take care of those bugs for us on your property. Another really cool animal to encourage to come into your property, there's so many of them, is going to be bats. So you can actually put out a bat house on the side of a tree, or you can put on a pole and encourage insect-eating bats, insectivorous bats, to come into your property and actually take care of a lot of mosquitoes and flies for you. That is very, very helpful. That's one really, really good form of pest control that I highly recommend. Cool. I'm glad you think it's cool. Paulina says, my favorite part is the spinneret. I almost forgot about the spinneret. A lot of people ask me if tarantulas make webs, and the answer is yes. But they're not going to make a beautiful, like, Charlotte's Web looking web, and they certainly can't write some pig in the web or anything like that. But it doesn't look like that for a tarantula. It actually looks more like when you decorate for Halloween, or maybe like cobwebbing and stuff like that. That's what it kind of looks like. It looks more like a blanket or a bed of webbing. And their spinnerets are right back here. She's kind of has them tucked away right now. Beep, beep, beep. I touch her, I wonder if she'll move them. So they're kind of tucked away up against her abdomen there. So remember, she's got two main body parts. One is the cephalothorax, which is her head and midsection combined. That is where her ganglia is located on the inside, and her eyes on top, of course. So the ganglia, remember, is kind of like a tarantula's brain. Not really a brain, but it's kind of sort of like a brain-ish. That's where the ganglia is. The abdomen is kind of where their digestive system kind of is, and everything else. Their heart is kind of like a heart-like organ. It's very different than ours. And their lungs, they're called book lungs in a tarantula's case, are all located in the abdomen. If you look up tarantula and invertebrate anatomy, it is absolutely fascinating to me. So look it up on your own too, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about that today. But her spinnerets are kind of sticking up like this. They're kind of two little, almost like tiny little mini legs on the back. Little fingers, I guess, and they kind of tuck up and away when she's not using them. But they do make webbing for different reasons. Primarily, it's going to kind of have like a little carpet or a kind of a bed in their burrow. Remember, they usually live underground in a burrow. When it comes to terrestrial tarantulas that live on the ground, they're usually underground all the time. They hardly ever leave their burrow unless they're a male looking for love. They're going to find a female's burrow. Everything's going to come to her. If you're a female tarantula, you got it made. You get to live for 20 to 30 years usually. This species can live for 30 plus years. The Arizona blonde, like Blondie, thank goodness, and she's a female. And males only live about 5 years, maybe more. And males have to find that lady before they pass away so they can procreate and pass on their genetics. That is their instincts. Pretty sad to be a male tarantula, but I guess that's just the way it is. They don't have to have the babies, so they don't have to be around for much except for, making the babies with her. But anyway, female tarantula will almost never leave her burrow. So she decorates her burrow with a nice soft bed of webbing, which is kind of like cobweb, like I said, very, very thick and very soft and not very sticky like other spider webs are. That's also going to keep them comfortable, but that's also going to alert her at the door. She can feel, remember, so if she's sitting on her web bed and someone or something crawls into a burrow that she's living in, maybe it's a bug to eat, maybe it's an enemy, maybe like a bird or like a, I don't know, any kind of predator. Tarantulas have predators, right? They are predators and they have predators. They're kind of midway in the food chain, kind of on the bottom, honestly, when it comes to being an animal in general. They're pretty small. When it comes to being an animal, it's a big spider, don't get me wrong, but they're a small animal. So they have, birds eat them, all kinds of predatory mammals eat them as well. Pardon me while I itch my nose. But these guys will make that web bed, and whether it's something at the door to alert them, they can feel that with their hairs, right? That can also alert them that there's food coming in and also keep them comfortable. They can also make webs if they're females to keep their eggs in. So after the male and the female will breed and mate, then, which is a very dangerous process for the male as well, because remember, these guys are potentially cannibals. So if she's not feeling like mating, she might feel like eating. And maybe both. Maybe after they mate, she'll do the praying mantis maneuver and actually just eat it afterwards. That does happen. It's not unknown. In fact, it's pretty common with most tarantula species. Oh my goodness, you guys are monsters. Just kidding. It's just the way of nature, isn't it? But what was I saying? Oh, after they breed, after they mate, right? She will lay her eggs, and she actually makes a really neat, like, kind of purse or bag or a little cocoon for all her eggs with webs. That's another reason that they use web too. So yes, tarantulas do actually make webbing like other spiders do. Not every spider can make webbing. I believe that wolf spiders cannot make webbing, and there's probably other ones. I'm always learning all the time, right? Any of you entomologists out there, let me know if there are other spiders that cannot make webbing. But most can, and that is where they make it, with their spinnerets. So inside of there, they have kind of little glands, if you will, or organs that can create webbing. Pretty amazing. Let's see what else you guys have to say. I know, so cute. So tarantulas they have eggs, and then they put them in their little spider purse made out of their web. And once they hatch, babies are called spiderlings, and they have anywhere from 50 to 500 babies, sometimes up to 1,000 babies. I've heard of such things. I do not breed spiders or tarantulas, so I have never like counted or been an expert in that, but I am learning all the time. And I researched just recently the average is about 500 to 1,000 babies each time. But of course, that's because they are so tiny, and a lot of them just get eaten by other animals until, before they make it to being a little bit bigger. In order to grow, tarantulas do molt, and I did bring some molts with me to show you guys. So being a invertebrate, they have to take off their entire exoskeleton about once a year as adults to be able to grow. And they do that about once a year, even into adulthood. Isn't that incredible? As baby spiderlings, they're going to molt a lot more often because they're growing faster. So as they grow, they have to shed their exoskeleton or molt. And that is amazing. Kind of like a snake does. I'm glad you think it's cool, Cynthia. So good to see you. Joy says she's very sensitive to bee stings. You want to be careful with most insects then. A tarantula would still not kill you. There's no record of any of that ever happening. But other spiders, honestly, may be a problem for you, like black widows, brown recluse. And if you went over to like Australia or other foreign countries, there are what I like to call false tarantulas, which are things like funnel web spiders that aren't tarantulas technically, but they're still just as large. And they're a lot more dangerous. In fact, funnel web spiders are one of the most dangerous species of invertebrate on the planet. And in fact, they do collect them to collect venom in Australia to be able to produce anti-venom. Now, the good news is that most of your the animals that I listed and some others, of course, other ones, scorpions too, they have anti-venoms for most of those animals. So obviously, immediately go to the hospital if something happens to you and you want to avoid those spiders at all costs. But as far as tarantulas, there's no reason to harm them because they are not deadly, absolutely not deadly to humans. Let's see, what else you guys have to say? Blondie, hello, Richard. It's so good to see you, and I'm so happy you haven't changed your profile picture yet. I love this profile picture. It is absolutely gorgeous. Who took that photo? Did you take that yourself? Is it just a selfie? You are so talented. Oh, Joy, hello again. I already said hello to you. Lots of great information I didn't know. Thank you. You're very welcome. I love teaching you guys new things. What else do you guys have to say? Lizzie again. She says, I love seeing wild tarantulas out in the hill country. Didn't know they didn't have a real brain. That is so interesting. Yes, they are totally different internally and even externally, right, than us. So their kind of brain / nervous system is called the ganglia. It's kind of a system of nerves rather than a brain. And their lungs are book lungs, which are similar to some like sea creatures and things like that, evolutionarily. They're kind of ancient animals. So they have very primitive organs. Their heart is very different too. And their heart is actually located inside of their abdomen. They also don't breathe with regular lungs. Like I said, they have book lungs and they don't breathe with their mouth. They breathe with sphericals, which are basically on almost every invertebrate. So they don't have a mouth to breathe with or a nose to breathe with. Here's a question. We'll talk about scorpions in a little bit. The purpose of scorpions, mostly going to be to prey on other animals like bugs that can harm other animals. So if things like roaches, flies, fleas, ticks, etc. overpopulate, we can of course get sick from them, right? So we need predators in the ecosystem to keep those populations under control. And in turn, they also do feed a lot of other animals too. Many animals eat spiders, tarantulas, and scorpions. Scorpions are actually a huge food item to many animals. So that is their purpose. Scorpions are amazing. Here's a great question from Tyrell. Hello, thank you for joining us. I'm so glad you're here. So good to see you guys. I would love to visit you guys again soon. Miss you guys. Do all tarantulas kick hair off their thorax as a defense mechanism, or is it only a subset, of tarantulas? Sorry, I misread that. So the kicking the hairs. So first of all, they don't have a thorax. They have a cephalothorax, and they don't kick their hair off of their cephalothorax. They kick them off their abdomen. So I'm going to show you something on Blondie here. I don't mean to correct you, Tyrell. It's an excellent question. But a big difference between insects and arachnids and spiders, etc., is going to be how many main body parts they have. So an insect would have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. So 3 body parts. 3. Three. And a arachnid like a tarantula is going to have two main body parts. I'm just resting my hand, by the way. And that's going to be the cephalothorax, which is kind of a combo of that, and the abdomen. But the abdomen is actually where they throw their hairs off. So forgive little Blondie here. She is absolutely gorgeous, but she is due for a molt anytime. She's taken her sweet time. And again, the adult tarantulas only molt here. So we're waiting very patiently for her to have another molt and look brand new. But as you can see, she has kicked off a couple of hairs from her abdomen here. It's kind of a neat thing to see. And having that bald bum is pretty common when it comes to being kind of a due for a molt, right? Like I said, she's kind of due for a new exoskeleton. So once she when she has her new molt, she's going to shed off everything and have brand new bum and not have that bald spot anymore. But since it's been about a year since she's molted, she does have a little bit of a bare bottom there. But that is because every now and then she'll get startled in her habitat, or she'll see something in the room and be like, oh no, I need to do that. To answer your question, most tarantulas do that, but some do it a lot more often to defend themselves. So tarantulas, for the most part, aren't really an animal that's going to bite readily. They're going to resort to other methods. Number one is going to be just running away. So most animals in general are going to run away from danger if they feel threatened. And that includes tarantulas too. They're really not going to attack people unless you're really cornering them and really messing with them or just picking them up or something like that. Then they're going to be really scared and think that you're going to harm them or hurt them or eat them, right? That's going to be their instinct. So one thing that most tarantulas do is actually kick off their hairs. So if she gets really upset, or, you know, she just sees something funny in the room that she's like, I don't know about this, she's going to instinctively start rubbing her abdomen with her back leg there. See that little bald bum she has? And I'll keep you guys updated on when she molts. It's going to be fantastic. So excited for it. She looks very, very dull in comparison to how she looks normally, if you can believe that. She's beautiful, yes, but she's going to be even more beautiful when she molts. She gets to be a brand new woman. But yeah, they do that. So they feel threatened, they'll start rubbing their abdomen vigorously like this, and some hair will fly into the air. And that's another purpose of their hair. So their hair helps them feel vibrations. It helps them to smell. It helps them to, in a way, hear, right? Their hairs are like everything to them. And it also helps them defend themselves from a little bit of a distance. So say that I'm a predator and she's crawling along, just doing her little tarantula thing. Maybe it's a male who's wandered outside of its burrow. Maybe it's another species of tarantula that doesn't necessarily burrow or stand around, right? And oh, here comes the predator. If she's like, oh my gosh, I can feel that predator coming up behind me. They're breathing heavily. I can see them a little bit shadow-wise with my 8 eyes. She's going to go into defense mode and start rubbing her back leg up against her abdomen. And some of those little fine hairs are going to go up into the air. And have you guys ever gotten like an eyelash in your eye? It's horrible. It's awful. So that's what it feels like, more or less, to that predator. And that's usually going to irritate them enough to go like this, or at least shut their eyes and, ooh, I don't like those hairs in my eye. And the tarantula can get away. That's a really great defense mechanism, right? I wish I could just go like that and the bad guys would get stuff in their eyes and leave me alone, right? Pretty amazing. But most of them do. Not every tarantula, to my knowledge, does that like on a regular basis. Some of them are more prone to bite than other ones. Some of them are a lot more tenacious. In fact, we have some here once in a while that are not holdable because they're much, much more inclined to bite with their fangs than they are to kick their hairs off. And they're much faster and whatnot. They're just not a good handling tarantula. Not every tarantula is created equal. And every tarantula as a species is an individual as well. But I hope that answers your question. They don't have a thorax. They have a cephalothorax and an abdomen. There you go. Here's a long comment. I once watched, nice to see you, by the way. I once watched a documentary about spiders that mentioned something about tarantula breeders introducing new species of tarantulas to Texas, and its population inflated tremendously due to absence of natural predators. I think it was the Mexican tarantula. That is very interesting and something that I don't know. So you've taught me something new today. That's something I definitely want to do some research on. I would love if you have like a link or anything to that documentary. I would love if you could link that down below so I can watch that. That is very, very plausible because sometimes humans will introduce species where they shouldn't, or sometimes we help out and actually reintroduce species or introduce species, whichever way, to help out populations that are depleting. But I would love to learn more about this situation. Thank you so much. Yes, that is good to know that they're not a threat, Joy says. Yeah, they're really not. In fact, tarantulas almost never go after humans unless you're really, really messing with them, or on the off case, they wander into your home and you step on them or something, but they're usually going to just avoid you because they're terrified of us. Thank you so very much. This is such a nice compliment. Thank you so much, Joy. And keep on watching the programs. We'd love to have you joining in and asking all your questions and comments. Saying comments. How do you know what sex they are? That's a good question. It is very, very specialized, and you have to know what to look for. Sometimes it takes them a while to grow up. She is a female. We do know that because, number one, the person that I got her from told me she was a female, so I don't have to worry about that. She's also lived for a long time, so we know she's a girl. But female tarantulas have different features than male tarantulas. And now that I'm thinking about it, let's go ahead and let Blondie rest. I'm going to switch tarantulas, but this will apply to the same facts will apply to the next tarantula. I think Blondie did a beautiful, fantastic job. I'll keep you guys updated if she molts. Hopefully I catch it on film. That would be fantastic. A tarantula molting is one of the neatest things you can see in the animal kingdom, in my opinion. It is so awesome. And while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to let her rest down below and let my hands rest a little bit. Woo! She's not heavy or anything, but holding your hands up like this, like a waiter is kind of, or a waitress is kind of like, it's a skill, it's a task. Okay, let me let her rest. And I'm going to show you guys some molts really fast before we talk about the next thing. And also, if a tarantula molts, there are other things you can look for on the molt itself to tell you whether or not they're male or female. But tarantulas do have a few features on their body which make them dimorphic when they are mature. Before they're mature and they're still babies, they don't really have these features. But most tarantula males are going to look different than females. So most tarantula males have very, very long legs, very spindly looking legs. When they are mature, they'll also have very thick pedipalps, which are their arm-like appendages. Remember, tarantulas have 8 legs and 2 arms, which are called pedipalps. So the pedipalps on a male tarantula most of the time will have kind of big bulbous boxing glove looking parts on the end of their pedipalps. They almost look like gloves. We call them boxing gloves. A lot of tarantula people call them that. And they also have little spurs on most of the species of tarantula, especially terrestrial tarantulas, but many of them have little kind of claws on their pedipalps, which females do not have. Another way that you can tell is by the molt. So if you look at a molt and you're an expert, which I'm not when it comes to determining gender of a tarantula, a lot of people are much better at it than I am. I usually look for those other bodily features that we just described, and kind of, little things here and there. Sometimes coloration is different depending on the species, so there's several ways to tell. And again, males live far less than females do when it comes to their life expectancy, right? So these are a couple of molts that I have, and please forgive me because they're kind of broken. This is one of the better ones I have. This is going to be from Tiptoes, the spider that we're going to meet next. Tiptoes molted not too long ago. There's one of her molts. Whoop, I just dropped it. They're so lightweight, and they're very fragile, and they break. This is not even a complete molt. It's broken. But you can see it almost looks like, especially when it's fresh, it looks like another spider. It's their entire outer exoskeleton that they literally just take off. They climb right out of it, like if you're taking off a sweater like that. That's how they climb out of it. They kind of like a tarantula in molt is going to actually go on its back. It's going to look like it's dead, but tarantulas, when they die, actually go on their belly and kind of just go. That's how they die. That's a good impersonation of a dead tarantula. Let's do that again. And they just kind of rest on their belly, and their legs kind of go like this, all 8 of them and all 2 of their arms. They kind of just rest on their belly, and that's usually how they pass away, just like that. Molting tarantula is going to be on the back. And they're going to look dead, but they're actually getting ready to molt. And then they come out of their exoskeleton. Looks like they're taking off a nice sweater. And then they come out, and they're a little bit soft. In fact, they're pretty soft at first. And then their exoskeleton is going to harden. It's very important to know these things if you have a tarantula, by the way, if you ever want a tarantula or have one. If the tarantula goes on its back, it's not dead. It's getting ready to molt. And while it's molting, you want to leave them alone. You can film it or look at them. That's fine. But you don't want to touch them. Definitely don't want to feed them, because some of those feeder crickets and roaches and worms and things that you can feed tarantulas can harm them when they're in that state, because they're kind of in a little mini coma when they're getting ready to molt. They're resting or whatever. They kind of go dormant, and then they take off their exoskeleton and they don't have much protection until it hardens. So wait a few days. Tarantulas don't go a long time without eating, so they are fine. You can wait a full week or so if you want to after they molt. That's very, very important. Here's a couple other molts. This one is really cool. It's the same tarantula, tiptoes, but you can actually see the fangs, which is so cool. So the fangs are right there. Ooh, that's a good view of the fangs. So they even molt and get to start over on their fangs too. So everything on the outside of their body gets replaced. The hair, the fangs. So awesome. I wish I could like start anew once a year. Although I'd probably have to get my tattoos done over and over again, which I don't want to do. So I take it back. This one you can actually see. Oh, here's like another view of the fangs too. And I know this one's all broken, so I do apologize. I have one good one that I have in a little jar that I'll show you, but it's hard to see it in here in the studio with all the lights. But you can see the fangs here. Oh, they're so cool. I love them. This is from a Goody Sapphire tree-dwelling tarantula, which is a critically endangered species, by the way. They are blue and yellow and gorgeous. One of my favorite species. These guys are critically endangered, and they live in Asia. They're an Indian species. They're almost extinct in the wild. Very sad. That is due almost 100% to habitat loss. They were only recently discovered, not too long ago. I can't remember when, but not a very old known about species. I'm sure they've been around a lot longer than we discovered them. But they are almost primarily going extinct due to habitat loss, due to deforestation and things like that. They only live in one tiny, tiny area of India. Awesome. They're beautiful. Look them up. Let's see. Hello. Nice to see you, Viviana. And I see Ricky saying hi back to you. And you're saying hi to Blondie. Wonderful. Oh, I'm so glad that you're suggesting our videos to other friends. That is always very, very helpful and a free way you can help us out, right? Liking the videos and sharing them and tagging your friends. Thank you so very much for doing that. Just to reiterate, we are offering our Zoom Room animal encounters, which are private animal encounters where you can actually hire us to select whatever animals you want. You hire us for Zoom Room visit, kind of like this, only we get to see your beautiful faces, and I'll usually kind of put you guys on what's that mode where you can see everybody's face, gallery mode, and I can see everybody and answer your questions right there on the Zoom, which is a lot of fun. But we are also offering in-person animal encounters if you guys want to meet any of our bugs here in the San Antonio, Texas area, or any of our animals, of course. Here's a good question, and I don't have the exact answer. That's okay. How many babies can a tarantula have in their lifetime? Well, per time they have babies, they can have anywhere from 500 to about 1,000 or more. I think I'm wrong. I said it right earlier, but they have a lot. And they can have babies several times in their lifetime. I don't think it's every single year, but it could depend on what species. If any of you guys out there, anyone is an entomologist or tarantula breeder, please let me know how many babies a tarantula can have in their entire lifetime. Female tarantulas obviously live a lot longer than males. Some tarantulas live longer than others. So it kind of probably depends on the species we're talking about. That is a great thing to look up and something I will learn very soon. All right, so let's go ahead and meet another tarantula while we're talking about them. And I know we were talking about something earlier. Let's see if I can remember. I know we were talking about defense mechanisms, etc. Let me know if you guys want to know anything else. Oh my gosh, you guys are so supportive and wonderful. Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Oh, here's a good question from Ricardo. One moment while I grab our next animal. Here she is. This is Tiptoes, my absolute favorite of all of our tarantulas. And she's just gorgeous. This is my favorite tarantula species. I know I said the Goody Sapphire was one of my favorites, but this is my favorite handleable tarantula. They are fantastic. As you can see, they climb. They're an arboreal species. Arboreal means that they live in the trees. This is a Central and South American species. Remember the Arizona blonde tarantula that I just put away? They're from the United States in Arizona. This species, the pink toe tarantula, is from Central and South America. There are several different subspecies of pink toe tarantula. This is the Antilles pink toe tarantula. Let's make sure that she is in focus because I want you guys to see her how beautiful she is. They are absolutely gorgeous. She is also due for a molt. So expect her to be very, very, very bright colored after she molts. She's not as old as Blondie. This girl here is around 3 years old. I know that since I've had her since a baby. Would you like to see a baby video of her? I have baby footage. Let's take a look. I think that would be fun. Yes, they look very different as babies. Here she is. Oh my goodness. Look how tiny and cute. So there she is on my hand. You can see she's bright blue with some stripes. Let's play the video. There we go. So very cute. Look at her crawling right up my arm just like she's doing today. Much smaller back then. Much different colored. They do molt and, of course, change their coloration as they molt. She won't go back to blue. She'll actually be this burgundy and kind of greenish color that she is now. So beautiful. Love her. But look how pretty she was as a baby as well. I don't know what the purpose of that coloration as a young spider is. But I do know they do change color. And this is her adult coloration now. You can see that she's reacting to my breath there. I'm going to get rid of this video so we can see me better. She's reacting to my breath a little bit when I talk. That is her sensitive hairs. That's just how they are. They're very sensitive to movement. You can see she still has some of those dorsal stripes on her abdomen there. But she's a totally different color. Isn't that amazing? And when she molts, she'll be bright burgundy and kind of a bright bluish green on her cephalothorax right there. Fun fact about spiders is the top part of their cephalothorax is called the carapace, which is the same exact word for a tortoise's shell. On the top of their shell, it's called the carapace too. Just helps them to stay nice and safe like a shell. Here's a good question, and I think I know the answer, so I'm going to do my best to answer. I believe every single type of spider can potentially grow their limbs back once they molt. So it wouldn't be like a lizard or an axolotl's body parts where they would just regrow automatically. I believe it has to be after they molt. But I believe that is the right answer, and we'll look it up together later. I hope that answers your question. But that is pretty neat that they can regenerate their body parts. Very handy. But yes, I believe it has to do with a molt. And I don't know if it's like the complete leg is regenerated with the next molt or if it's like gradually. That is definitely something to look up. But I do know that they can, and most of them do that. Yes, yes, yes. Are their legs sticky? So tarantulas are really fun because they can climb a little bit, especially arboreal species that climb trees. Climbing is going to be really, really important. If, whoa, see that reaction to my breath? Important. I'll try not to I'll try not to enunciate as much. If you're a Friends fan, you know what enunciate. Actors enunciate. I'll try not to do that as much with her because it startles her, I guess. Anyway, they do climb, of course, because they're arboreal species, and they're much better at climbing than a terrestrial species like Blondie was, right? They do have kind of sticky legs. They do have very, very, very tiny, almost microscopic hairs on their little toe pads, which help them to climb up straight walls and glass for some species, like her. She can climb up glass. But they also, in addition to those, almost like they're almost like gecko toes, but a tarantula, but they're hair instead of sticky toes. But anyway, they also have claws. Each little toe pad on the end of her beautiful leg there has 2 retractable claws, like a cat's claws, but only 2 per foot. Isn't that fascinating? So that's how she's able to climb my hand with ease, is because of her little almost microscopic hairs that work almost like a gecko's toes and her claws. So they do have a little bit of sticky feet. It doesn't hurt at all. I can feel the claws just ever so slightly, but it's just like the tiniest little tiny claw you can imagine. Oh, I'm so glad you love her. I love her so very much. They are so wonderful. Tarantulas and invertebrates are so easy to care for. They're very quiet. I don't know why more people don't love them, but I do understand not everybody does love every animal like I do, so I get it. But we just ask that you guys, of course, respect the animals. You can see that she's just hanging out with me. Do their temperaments change as they grow? Yes and no. I would say as babies, they're a little bit more skittish because as a baby animal, anything, you're probably more vulnerable than an adult. But I mean, they don't really change as much as we would think like other animals do. Every animal's different, right? And every animal has their individual personality though, so who knows? But I feel like babies are a little more skittish, I guess. That's a good question. So these guys are wonderful. Spiders in general are very misunderstood. A lot of people think that like black widows, brown recluse are just like all supposed to be killed. In my opinion, if you have spiders in your home, you may want to ask for professional help. I don't recommend just going up and picking up spiders. Obviously, you want to be very, very safe, and those animals can be harmful, but almost nobody dies from those spiders anymore. There's so much medical care that they have now that can save you. You definitely don't want to get bitten. You want to avoid them. But if they're just like outside in the woods, there's no reason to eradicate those spiders because they actually do a lot more good than harm to us humans by taking care of lots and lots of bugs that are harmful. Yes, absolutely. Learning about them helps us love them, at least like them. Yeah, so even if you are nervous around certain types of animals, you can learn about them, hopefully, and come to our programs and learn about them or do your own research. And that will help you learn that they're not as scary as you thought, right? That is kind of our goal here at Once in a While. She is so beautiful. I feel like there was something else I was going to tell you guys about tarantulas, and I just forgot. Here it is. That's okay. It was in Florida. Okay, very, very good. No, we'll find out. That would be fantastic. I'm going to look that up later. Thank you so much for providing that. That is very helpful. I'm going to go back to y'all's comments and see if I can spark my memory. All right, she's left us, I guess. Haha, just kidding. She's died down here. They are so neat. I love them. Her name is Tiptoes. You can see why we named her Tiptoes. She kind of looks like she's tiptoeing around. The pink toe tarantula, there are several subspecies. They have little tiny pink toes. Hers are not as prominent as they used to be, but if you take a look at her at certain angles, you can kind of see as she's kind of walking towards you. See if I can angle her better. The tips of the toes are a little bit like kind of pinkish. When they're babies, they're a little bit more pink compared to the blue that they have all over them, right? So gorgeous. Okay. I think that Tiptoes did a fantastic job. Let's go ahead. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to show you that other molt really fast. I'm going to take a brief break while I check my camera's timer. You guys just hang tight, and I'll be right back. Hang on. Okay, guys, thank you so much for waiting and being so patient. I think it's time to meet an insect next. That would be cool. Oh, you know what? I know what I forgot to show you guys, and let's go ahead and do that before we meet our next grouping of animals. I'm going to show you a few videos of tarantulas eating, and that's what I forgot to teach you guys about. We were talking about all their body parts, right? So 2 main body parts, cephalothorax and abdomen. Connected to the cephalothorax, they have 8 legs and 2 arm-like appendages, which are called pedipalps. And then they have their chelicerae and their fangs underneath, right? So in order to eat, they will basically stab the prey with their fangs, envenomate the prey. So it's going to be like a roach or something like that, right? And once they have put venom inside of their food, that's going to liquefy the insides of that bug, it's typically a bug, and then they will drink the food because their actual mouth parts are more like a straw system, and they cannot chew their food as a spider. They can envenomate with the fangs. They wait a minute. Sometimes they wait an hour, and then they'll drink the food like a smoothie. How long have I had tarantulas? I've been working with and keeping tarantulas for a long, long time here and there. I've probably been working with tarantulas since I was in my 20s, early 20s. So long time. I'm now 35, going on 36 next month. Yeah, and I've been working with tarantulas in different scenarios here and there. I take it back, probably longer than that. So probably 20 years old, a while. Great job, Tiptoes. So they are not harmful. So hi, Tina. Nice to see you on here. Tarantulas are non-deadly to humans. They are, there's no deadly tarantulas. There's some spiders that are much more harmful than tarantulas. But tarantulas do have a variant to their venoms, depending on the species. A couple of the animals that we just had out, which were Tiptoes and Blondie, the pink-toe tarantula and the Arizona blonde tarantula, and there are many, many others that are like this. Very benign venom. Their venom is much, much less than a bee sting, and they are not inclined to bite anyway. So even if I did get bitten, it would be much less than a bee and whatnot. So not harmful to humans. It can hurt a little bit, but it's definitely not going to kill you. It would be kind of a sting, and then you'd be like, definitely way less than a fire ant bite, that's for sure. The worst tarantula venoms out there are probably some of the more exotic tarantulas that are down South America and things like that. There are a few of them, but you definitely would not pass away from their bite. It would just be painful, like a hornet or something like that. So in most terms, most sense of the word, they're going to be not harmful, yes. Definitely not worth exterminating or anything like that. They're not deadly. Ha ha. So cute. Ballerina would be another really great name for a pink toe tarantula, I think. When you said she had pink tips on her toes, I thought of her wearing little ballerina shoes. That's so cute. Pardon me, with all the talking, I get a little bit of a dry throat. Okay, guys. Here's a good question. Do arboreal tarantulas have the ability to hang from a stand of webbing, like jumping spiders, that tether themselves? I don't believe they can, since their webbing is so very much different. So the arboreal and terrestrial tarantulas are still going to make similar types of webbing. I hope this answers your question. I hope I'm understanding your question properly. But they are not like jumping spiders. Jumping spiders have much different webbing and abilities, and jumping spiders are incredible animals, and I would love to teach you guys more about jumping spiders. They are amazing and actually very intelligent spiders somehow, some way they do learn. Anyway, but no, tarantulas are very different. Their webbing is totally different. Their webbing is more like a bed of webbing or a hammock of webbing or like a carpet of webbing, like Halloween webbing is that you decorate with for Halloween. That's what a tarantula's webbing is like, whereas a jumping spider's web is much different. So I don't believe they can. But arboreal tarantulas can climb, and the pink-toe tarantulas of all the subspecies are very acrobatic when it comes to being a tarantula. They're one of my favorites. So very cool. So this is another molt that we have of a Venezuelan sun tiger tarantula. I'm going to do my very best to show you, but it is in this kind of container, so it's hard to see. But this is another molt. And let's see if we can show that. It is so very hard to see, but I wanted to leave it in this container because they're so fragile. So this is a molt from our Venezuelan sun tiger tarantula, which has very potent venom for a tarantula. I would not want to get bitten by this animal. And I don't hold her because she is very potentially aggressive and very fast. Whoa. And so not a handling tarantula, nor does she like people. So we have her just on display. She can come on display to your events if you like tarantulas and you just want to have a really cool looking tarantula. They have beautiful kind of tiger-like stripes and orange and black markings, which gives them the name the Venezuelan sun tiger. Her name is Alejandra, and she's gorgeous, but not a holding animal whatsoever. And it's hard to show her on the live stream because it's under glass. And if I can think of a better way to display her, I will absolutely try to show you her. And I may just take a video and have her on the video. Speaking of videos, let's show you guys how the tarantulas eat their food. So I just told you how they eat their food. They're going to pounce, grab with their little arms, pull the food in, stab with the fangs, and venomate with their chelicerae and their venom gland. And that will liquefy their prey, and then they drink it with their little straw mouth, which is underneath their chin here. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of that with Tiptoes, who's the tarantula we just met. Give me one moment, and I will show you. So here's a couple of videos of me actually feeding her. And they're going to be back-to-back videos. So this is going to be the first video of me offering the food. I believe it's in slow motion. And it's a little dubia roach, which is a feeder roach that I'm giving her. Let me show you that. Yes, it is in slow motion. Here I come. There's a little roach. There she is. She's facing us. Bam. See the fangs? Pretty crazy. Those black fangs. And she's kind of grabbing with her arms and legs a little bit, her two front legs too. And now she's kind of moved to the side a little bit, and she's just holding that prey while she envenomates the prey. Amazing. I love that video because it's in slow-mo. Yeah. Pretty cool. I'm going to watch it one more time with you guys once it's over. So this is the same exact tarantula that we just met. I don't usually feed them on live stream because it's really fast and it's hard to get a glimpse of it. And also I want to hold them for you guys. But we might do a feeding, another video feeding or something like that with some of our less handleable tarantulas. That might be fun. I'll figure out a way for you guys. Here it comes. They're so quick when they decide to eat. Tiptoes is a very good eater. She almost always eats the food that I offer her. The only time that she hasn't eaten is when she's been in molt, and I didn't realize she was going into a molt. Lizzie, to re-answer your question, for these tarantulas, let's see, Blondie I've had for about 4 years, and Tiptoes I've had for about 3 years or so. And some of the other ones I've had a little less. But I've been keeping tarantulas for a long time. Okay, let's watch another video really fast of the same feeding really quickly. So this is the same feeding, but it's going to be her holding the prey and kind of giving you a better view of the front view of her eating. So something really fun that tarantulas do is while they're holding their prey, a lot of times they will actually turn in a circle. She's going to do that here in a little bit. There are a few theories of why they turn around in a circle. They typically, you can see some of the webbing there, right? So she's an arboreal species, but her webbing looks like Halloween webbing. But she's still going to lay in it like a little hammock. See how she's turning in circles? So a couple of theories are maybe she's trying to, there's the spinnerets that Paulina was talking about. So cute. So she might be trying to keep her prey away from other animals, kind of like a dog food guarding their food, or a hawk guarding their food while they eat with their wings, right? Watch that again. Another thing that they do simultaneously is creating web. So they will actually hold their prey and create some more web with their spinnerets while they do that. That could also be for just resting. They might be getting ready to kind of stay put for a while, so they might be making themselves comfortable. Who knows? But there are many, many theories as to why they turn around in a circle while they eat. It could be all of the above. See her little spinnerets there in the back? They're like little finger-like projections that create that webbing. And you can even see her little pink toes in this video. How adorable. And all of her beautiful hair. I just love her. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, let's get rid of that. Hello, I'm back. Okay, would you guys like to meet some insects? I bet you would. We only have one species of insect in our programs. That being said, we do have feeder insects, of course, that we feed our animals. But that's not who I brought today. I brought some really neat bugs for you guys to meet. Some of you guys might be familiar with them already. Okay, there are 7 of them total in our collection right now. And, well, of adults. I'll explain that later. 7 total adult-sized of these guys. See if this one's going to be calm enough to show you. Look at that! That is a bug, isn't it? This is a Madagascar hissing cockroach. They are from Madagascar, and they do hiss. They are very unique in their abilities to vocalize, if you will. Now, they do not create their hissing noise with their vocal cords. They don't have vocal cords. They don't even breathe with their mouth like we do. They breathe with their sphericals. So their sphericals are going to be those little beautiful dots on the side of his body here. See the little dots? Boop, 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 boop. He's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on either side. He's got about 10 sphericals. I don't know if that's typical or if they all have 10 or what. Good question. But I observe 5 on either side of this individual. And that is actually where they breathe. They are going to kind of push air out of their body and breathe with, by inhalation right there. Their lungs are right in there. Their book lungs are in their abdomen. So since we're talking about an insect now, we've got a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. On the Madagascar hissing cockroach, they kind of do run together, and they don't really look like separate segments, but they are. Their head is very armored. In fact, their true head is actually underneath. See his little head? Here's his little head with his little antenna. These animals also do regrow their body parts if they lose them when they molt. His antenna look pretty new, actually. They do often lose their antenna, which are sensory organs, right, on top of their head. You guys know what antenna are. They do often lose them because they're pretty fragile. It's very normal for them to lose their antenna and grow them back with a molt. These guys also do molt to grow, just like all invertebrates do. Pretty cool. But that's kind of a nice view of the underside. You can see the legs. Insects have 3 main body parts, the head, thorax, and abdomen, and they have 6 legs and no arm-like appendages to my knowledge. I'm looking right now. He does have little bitty eyes. His little eye right here, right on the corner of his head. His eyes are kind of like right here. His antennae are next to the eyes. And like I said, he's going to breathe with his sphericals. He's very relaxed today. He might be getting ready to molt too. He's very, very calm. The sphericals are right here on the side of his body. And that's how they hiss and breathe. So a Madagascar hissing cockroach is going to hiss for a couple of different reasons. One is going to be to scare away their predators. They have several predators, of course, being a roach. That's kind of their lot in life, is to be food for other animals. That's what their purpose is. By the way, the Madagascar hissing cockroach is not an animal that is dirty. They are actually very clean. They have their own cleaning crew on them, which are little mites, which only exist on Madagascar hissing cockroaches, and they do have them. They're super tiny. If you see one, I'll be really impressed. They're so very tiny, almost microscopic, and they have a little cleaning crew all over their body. Those little mites actually eat all of the dead food, well, dead skin and old food off of their body. Kind of like a little maid service all the time. Pretty cool. Fun fact, humans also have mites too, but they're microscopic. So don't judge too hard. These mites do not affect humans or any other animals. They only live on the Madagascar hissing cockroach, and they are a very good example of a symbiotic relationship, right? Pretty awesome. Symbiotic relationships are when animals live together or basically on top of one another like this, and both animals benefit. The mites get a nice free meal of dead skin and old food that the animal has eaten, and the roach actually stays very, very clean. So they are not diseased, they are not dirty, they're not considered to be a pest. They are totally different than like the roach you would see here in the United States or in Germany or wherever roaches come from originally, right? But even those endemic or indigenous cockroaches that live here in the States that are from here, maybe from Central and South America, etc. There's so many cockroach species, and I don't really enjoy cockroaches. I don't know a ton about the other ones. But anyway, they're my least favorite animal, all the winged cockroaches. These guys also don't have wings. If they did, I would be having a heart attack because I don't deal with flying cockroaches very well. But like I said, they hiss for a couple of reasons. They have so many enemies and predators. So the hissing actually will help to scare away predators. One of their primary predators in Madagascar is actually the lemur. Lemurs will come down from the trees to eat these delicious bugs. These bugs are typically on the ground. They can climb just a little bit. They're not the best climbers, although they can climb up straight glass if they want to because they have very, very sticky feet and little claws on their feet. Pretty amazing. Kind of like the tarantulas we talked about before, but even more amazing. But typically in the wild, they're going to live on the ground. That's where they're going to be. So the lemurs will jump down onto the ground to get a snack of roaches. And lemurs' main enemies in Madagascar are one, the fossa or fossa. That is a mammal predator of the lemur. But another predator of the lemur is going to be snakes. There are several snakes in Madagascar, including a boa constrictor called the Dumerol's ground boa constrictor, which can eat a lemur. They are so big. And so hissing like a snake comes in really handy to scare away your enemies if their enemies are snakes, right? So that's one reason that they hiss, is to scare away enemies like lemurs. And another reason is to communicate. So the male Madagascar hissing cockroaches, by the way, we do have a male here because he has the 2 little horns on top of his head right there. The males have much larger little horns. Well, I say little, but they have much larger horn-like bumps than the females do. So you can actually tell their gender by that. And he is going to, well, he is a boy. I was going to say, he would actually hiss more often than a female. Females can hiss for defense, but males also hiss to defend their territories from other males. They also fight a little bit too, but they don't really hurt each other. They kind of just push each other around. No, not that big of a deal. I guess for a roach, that's like a wrestling match. But they will hiss to kind of determine and save their territories from other males and attract the female. So they have several different hisses. To me, they all sound the same, but to a roach, I guess they sound different to them. Pretty cool. But that is how they're going to hiss. Let's see if we can get him to hiss. I don't hear him. You guys tell me if you can hear him. Oh, I think this one's hissing. So this one, it looks like we have a little female. And she doesn't have as big of little bumps on her head. Let's see if we can find another male. I do have a couple of them. They're in here somewhere. They're kind of buried in their substrate. So these guys eat, well, they're detritivores, which means that they eat dead and decaying plant matter, but they also eat fresh fruits and plants too. They like plants, but they don't eat other animals. And they don't even really bite. They're very, very harmless to everyone, and they are food for other animals. Hissing roach, absolutely. Madagascar hissing cockroach. What do you love about the hissing roaches, Lizzie? You tell me your favorite facts about the roaches. I'm always learning, and I would love to be reminded about some of their facts. They are so cool. To me, they're a lot less scary than like a regular old roach because they don't fly. That's the scariest thing about the other roaches is they fly and they're fast. These guys aren't really that fast. They can skitter away, but they're not super fast. Their main defense is to hiss. You can see he's kind of hanging out on my finger there. There, you can see his legs pretty well. Focus, focus. There we go. You can see his legs really well. You can see how spiky the legs are. Oh, one fun fact about the hissing cockroaches is they do not lay eggs, but the females will actually expel their eggs if they are not fertilized. So every now and then you can find unfertilized egg castings if you don't have a male to fertilize the eggs. But if you do have males like I do, you actually end up with lots of babies. And we do have lots of baby Madagascar hissing cockroaches. So I like to think that they're doing well because they are procreating quite a bit in my care. And they have live births. They will have a whole bunch of babies at once. I forget how many they can have. I think it's anywhere from like 5 to 30 babies per brood or litter of babies. And they come out as little white babies, and very, very quickly they will harden to being little brown miniature baby cockroaches, and then they're crawling around and I have to put them in another container away from the adults. Not that they'll hurt each other, but they're much smaller and it's easier for them to like, if I don't put them in something else. They're so tiny. Let's see. Do they like to burrow? Yes, they do. So these guys like to burrow underneath their substrate, underneath soft dirt and things like that. They're also a good way to keep the environment healthy because they help to keep the soil nice and fertilized for plants and things. So they will eat dead and decaying plants and dirt, and they will use the restroom, and that actually comes out nice and healthy for the plants to eat and whatnot. Circle of life. And yeah, so they'll eat all kinds of things and use the restroom, and that helps to keep the earth nice and fertilized and healthy and aerated and all of that. And by digging around, they also help to aerate the soil, and then they provide themselves as food for other animals. Oh, this is a good question. I don't know if they do anything special. I think the mites are just kind of in there. I mean, they would probably just return back to the roach afterwards. Do they do anything special to help their mites transfer after they molt? That's a good question. I've never watched it myself. I could probably look that up for you. I'm always learning things about bugs because I'm not an entomologist, but that is a great question. I would imagine that the mites just go right back onto the roach. They'll travel. They are very fast, and you'll see them crawling around now and then. They're there somewhere. They hide really well from the light, though. You don't really see them in the light because they'll hide. And yes. Do these kinds of roaches carry the plague? Absolutely not. These guys are very clean. They are so very different than other roaches and other bug species. Very good question. I hate flying roaches too. Yes, join the club. I think a lot of us do. I'm not a fan. If you want to see me screaming like a girl and running away, that is the one animal that makes me do that. Yes, indeed. That was a great question, Tyrell. I need to look that up. So you guys want to see some baby roaches? I'm actually going to give the adult roaches their favorite food, which are bananas. Bananas are their favorite food, so I've sliced up some bananas for them. So I'm going to let them rest on these bananas for a little bit. And we'll see if we can get some eating action for you guys. Trying to make it exciting for y'all. Roaches enjoy treats too, just like anyone. They're very easy to take care of. These guys actually do live a lot longer than most insects do, because most insects only live for a few weeks or maybe a couple months, etc. Madagascar hissing cockroaches can live anywhere from 2 to 5 years. So they end up being a lot better choices for animal programs, because as you can imagine, we don't need our animals to be passing away every few weeks, right? But we do have a whole bunch of babies. Let's see if I can show you some of the babies. They're a lot faster and smaller than the adults. So let's see what we can do. Some of them are growing up. Okay, let's see here. They're going to be in a container because I don't want to lose them. Let's see here. And the babies are especially burrowing right now. Can y'all see any of the babies? Let's see. Oh, there's some. You can see them. Look at them go. That's kind of creepy. So these are just the babies that have grown a little bit. When they are born, they're about this long. They're super tiny. And then they molt and molt and molt until they grow up and they become adults. So that's pretty neat that we've had so many babies. See them go. Oh my goodness. Creepy. There's a little bit of browse in there, which is a zoo word for leaves of trees. So that's something that they also eat. So we give them browse. That's very natural food for them, good fiber. And they also eat bananas and sweet potatoes and lettuce and all kinds of things. Oh, I think they're already eating the bananas. They really like the bananas. See if I can show you guys. Oh my goodness. It's kind of weird, right? So I know it's hard to see and their faces are kind of downward, but they're munching on the bananas right there. So how they eat is they have like kind of like these kind of mouth parts like this. They kind of gather all the food. That's how they eat. See if I can pick it up and show you. Will you move if I pick you up? Oh no, don't move. There you go. Look at that. We also have a really fun video that we made the other day with a few of our animals eating watermelon, and these guys were one of the animals that I really thought would love the watermelon, but they seemed to think it was not all that great. But we still filmed them kind of hanging out and trying the watermelon at least. But banana is their favorite. Banana is actually what makes the babies grow fastest as well. These guys primarily eat plants, especially in the wild. All right. It's kind of hard to see them eating there. We'll give them some more time. Okay, that was neat. Who has questions about the roaches? If you do, let me know. And we're going to meet one more type of animal here in a little bit. I'm going to get these guys settled down below. I'm going to check my camera's timer. And I'll be right back. How's that? All right, we're back. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for waiting and thank you for your patience. So this here is my favorite invertebrate that we have, and her name is Xena. Oh, I'm so glad that you enjoy the live streams. Thank you so very much for saying that. That makes me feel really good. And it's called Spiders the Spider Hunter. I will definitely check that out very soon. Awesome. The one animal I don't fear, that is not true, Ricardo. You are not telling the truth right now. But the roaches, you definitely don't have a problem with them. And somehow I do. And the one animal that I am scared of. Yes. So sometimes roach feces looks like rat feces, but rat feces is much larger. But yeah, it can. It can. Now with this species of roach, they're much less dirty. Their feces is more like dirt that just kind of goes back into the soil, circle of life. So they're much less gross, I promise. All right. So this is Xena. And she's representing our next animal category, which is still invertebrates, right? And this will be the final animal category of today's live stream. And it looks like it's getting late already, so I won't take too much more of your time. And thank you so much for joining us today, as always. She is an African flat rock scorpion, and she is just magnificent. Xena is a beautiful species of scorpion. Scorpions are very misunderstood as well. We're talking all about invertebrates today. Also kind of closely related to spiders. They used to be categorized as an arachnid, and now they're kind of in their own grouping, and I don't know the name of it. I do apologize. Some people still categorize them in arachnids, so I'm not going to say that you're wrong if you think that they're arachnids. That is totally fine. They are certainly very similar. They have 8 legs, like all arachnids do. They have 2 main body parts, a cephalothorax and an abdomen. And they have 2 pedipalps, but their pedipalps are much, much different than a spider's pedipalps. Remember, those are their arms, right? Her arms are claws, but they're called pedipalps. Same as a spider's little arms, only they're much, much more impressive. These guys have, oh, right on cue, Xena. Thank you so much for showing off your beautiful, I think that was your right hook. Maybe it was your left hook. I don't know. It's not really a mirror image here. But man, these guys are fantastic animals. So incredible. My favorite invertebrates of all time, which are the scorpions. So awesome. So these guys have 1 claw, or they have 2 claws, but they on each claw, they have 1 immobile section and they have 1 mobile section. The mobile part is on the bottom. So say this was my scorpion claw, this would move and this would not. So that stays still and the bottom one can move. They can, of course, move their entire arm, though, just like that, like she just did. And of course, when you're talking about scorpions, this is another venomous animal. And you're thinking, oh my goodness, another venomous animal. I'm gonna die. Nope, I'm not. So most scorpions are harmless to humans as well. Not all scorpions are harmless to humans, just like all tarantulas are harmless to humans. That is not the case with scorpions. Please do not handle scorpions if you do not know what you're doing. And please don't handle spiders or anything else if you don't know what you're doing. Please leave wildlife alone, unless you're with an expert like myself or you are an expert like myself. These guys are a species from Africa. They are one of the largest species of scorpion on Earth. There are about 1,500 to 1,600 species of scorpion on the planet. They exist on every continent except for one, which is, of course, Antarctica. Way too cold for most species of anything out there in Antarctica, and there's not much out there. But there are a few animals that live in Antarctica, of course. But as far as scorpions go, there are many, 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 many species. Like I said, about 1,500 to 1,600 of them. Only about 20 to 25 are actually deadly to humans. So it's still a very, very low percentage that are dangerous to humans. That being said, if you get stung by a scorpion, it might hurt you, but it's definitely not going to kill you if it's one of those so many species. But that being said, there are several that are not harmless to humans. So please don't handle any of them. If you get stung by a scorpion and you're not sure what happened or what species it was, or if you're allergic, just go to the hospital. It's probably the best thing that you can do. Most scorpions that are deadly to humans do have antivenoms that you can actually be saved by and you'll be fine. So just go to the hospital. If you have scorpions in your home, I do recommend contacting a professional to help you with that situation because you definitely don't want them around your children and things like that. But when it comes to being an animal, these guys are really, really important. Again, they're in the food chain, right? And they're predators. They are nocturnal predators. Almost every single scorpion species hardly ever comes out in the daytime. They love to come out at night. They mostly come out at night, mostly. Xena is named after xenomorph. If you know what that is, let me know. That is one of my favorite creatures of all time. She looks like a great big face hugger. She's incredible. Look at her claws. She's coming right at you guys. So scorpions are very important in the food chain. They do a lot of good for us by eating a lot of harmful insects. And this species is not non-venomous. They are venomous. They have a tail, which is called the metasoma, and they have a stinger, of course. And they do have venom. But their venom is so very mild that they rarely even use it for anything. So they have actually adapted to having some really, really big, impressive claws, if you hadn't noticed. Those claws are really handy when it comes to subduing your prey, like a roach, for example. If I were to give her one of my roaches, she would eat it. That is just what they do. They grab the roach with their claws. They usually use both claws at the same time, and then they'll draw them in and start eating. And how they eat is with their beautiful little mouth parts. They also have chelicerae, just like the tarantula. The chelicerae are those two little mouth parts on the front there. They're kind of like this. And each little chelicerae also has kind of like claws on the end of it too. And those claws are going to crunch up her food and also salivate all over her food as well, while her mouth will. Her mouth will produce a lot of drool while she's doing that. And that helps to kind of mush up and liquefy her food so she can drink it up, kind of like the tarantula does. But these guys are a little bit more of a different way. They don't inject venom with their mouth. They might inject venom with their tail. Some scorpions do use their venom in their tail to subdue their prey and start pre-digestion. But this species doesn't. Their claws are so big, they can basically just hang on to those animals that they're going to eat like a wrench and then just start eating. And that prey is going to be eaten. They're so cool. So to go over their body parts once again, they do have two main body parts, which are the cephalothorax, which is the head and midsection combined on our arachnids, right? Then we have our abdomen. For them, they have the metasoma, which is their tail. Metasoma just means like at the hind end, essentially. It's like it's the tail. And then at the end of the tail, they have their stinger, where they produce venom, right? They have 8 legs and 2 arm-like appendages, which are their claws or pedipalps. They also have 2 chelicerae, which is their mouth parts too, just like the spider does. Also similarly to the spiders, scorpions have hairs too, and they have very sensitive little hairs. Their hairs are not as obvious as a tarantula's furry hair, right? But you may be able to get a glimpse at some hair on her body. They're almost like very, very tiny, very hard to see. But they're there, surrounding her entire body. But her exoskeleton is more shell-like, almost like a lobster or a crab. It is actually debatable that these guys are more closely related to animals like horseshoe crabs, lobsters, etc. In fact, a lot of scientists are leaning that way. Scorpions are very, very amazing because they are very ancient animals. In fact, some scientists think that they are one of the first animals that crawled up onto dry land after being an ocean animal evolutionarily. And they used to be huge as well back in prehistoric times, but they are around 400 million years old. That's a long time. And they are vastly unchanged. They have almost not changed at all. In size, they have, because some scorpions used to be, I don't know, 4 foot long back in the old days and in prehistoric times before humans were really around, right? And, you know, we don't really know, but there's evidence, fossil evidence that they were huge, which I find amazing. But just like dinosaurs were huge too, a lot of animals were really, really big back then. But they are almost unchanged in that long of a time, which is pretty amazing. And they're one of the first animals, like I said, to be able to crawl up on dry land. Isn't that amazing? That's how old they are and ancient. Pretty incredible. Let's see what you guys have to say about our scorpion friend. Cool scorpion, thank you. Saw a scorpion that lost its tail. I read that if they lose their tail, they won't be able to go potty anymore. That is true. So if they can, I mean, theoretically, and I could be wrong, please don't quote me on this. I guess if they were to molt in time and regrow all of that, they could regrow it. But yeah, they actually cannot digest or use the bathroom anymore if they lose their tail, because where they go to the bathroom is at the end of their tail. That is where their butt is, essentially. It's not under the tail like most animals. It's actually part of them. So that tail is part of their body. It's not just like a tail like most animals, right? Does that make sense? Yes, that is true. Lizzie says, I love the striped bark scorpions we have in Texas. They are so tiny compared to Xena. Yes, they are. So again, this is one of the largest species of scorpion in the world. The other species of scorpion that is almost just as large is going to be the emperor scorpion. Emperor scorpions are actually heavier a little bit than the African flat rock. African flat rocks are very flat, just like their name states. They can go underneath flat rocks to be able to get out of the sun. They are very, very nocturnal. They do not come out in the daytime. And they mostly come out at night, mostly, right? And they are going to hide all day long away from the very, very hot South African heat, and they come out at night to hunt. But that is why they call them the flat rock scorpion. They go underneath flat rocks to get away from the sun. They also hide from their predators. The main predator of the African flat rock scorpion is the meerkat, as well as many, many other animals that eat all kinds of invertebrates. Oh, don't be scared, Xena. There's no meerkats in here. She kind of went like, oh boy, meerkat, yikes. I was going to tell you about their eyes. That's what I forgot to tell you. We're talking about their anatomy. So scorpions have 2, 4, 6 eyes, to my knowledge. Most scorpions have this. She certainly does. She's got 2 little eyes on top of her head, right there. 2 little eyes there. And then she's got another set of eyes on her cheek and another set of eyes on the other cheek. So 2, 4, 6 eyes. Her main eyes are on the top, and then one set here and one set there. Isn't that cool? Kind of right near the base of her arms or claws. Her eyes are numerous, but also very poor, just like the tarantula. She doesn't see very well. They see shadows and movement and changes in light, right? But again, they're nocturnal species. Now, something really, really awesome, and I was just about to say this, do all scorpions glow under UV/black light? So they react to UV light in any way? They react to light of any kind, for sure. UV light does make them glow. But black lights are how we can see them glow really well. And one of these days, I'm going to take a really cool video for you guys to show you the glowing of the scorpion. All scorpions, to our knowledge, we're always discovering things all the time, of course, but to all scorpions, to our knowledge, glow under the black light. Now, there are many, many theories as to why they glow, and nobody really knows why. We just know that it's awesome. They have special properties inside their skin that give off bioluminescence, just like some sea creatures. But remember, they used to be sea creatures. So one theory is that they used to use this under the ocean, kind of like sea creatures do nowadays. They might have used it for communication. Pretty awesome. And if they were deep sea creatures, that makes a lot of sense to me. I think that's the best theory I've heard. Another theory is it helps them to communicate somehow on land as well. Another theory is it helps to basically kind of, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Can kind of spook their prey a little bit and distract their prey so they can eat them. Maybe the prey can see the bioluminescence too. Wow, pretty cool. So, but that is amazing, right? They are such magical, amazing animals. They're so alien-like. But yes, they all do that to our knowledge. Every scorpion species has special properties of bioluminescence in their exoskeleton. So exciting and so crazy. Scorpions are awesome. I would love to show you guys a video really fast. Let's see here. I'm going to show you a video of Xena eating. While we talk about her, why not? So I mentioned how they're going to grab the food with their great big giant claws. And this is her. In this little video, I've given her a dubia roach, just like I gave Tiptoes earlier in that video before. And she's holding that roach, and she's using her mouth parts to eat the roach. You can get a really good view of her 2 eyes on top. And remember, she's got 2 eyes on each cheek, so 2, 4, 6 eyes. And she's already grabbed this roach, and she's proceeding to eat it. So let's go ahead and watch that so you can see what I was talking about. She's so beautiful. I just love her. Okay, she's going to get adjusted a little bit. And whenever she feels more comfortable, she's going to start eating this roach in this video. And remember, they have 2 chelicerae, which are their 2 kind of mouth-like projection, or their mouth parts, I should say. They're kind of claw-like projections, and they help to tear apart the food. You can get a really good view of that right there. They help to tear apart the food, and simultaneously with their mouth parts, which are kind of underneath their face, they're going to be drooling all over the food and crunching it up with those little mouth claws. And then they can kind of just eat that smushed up roach that they've created, kind of like a little pudding out of their food, and eat it up. Very different than us. And again, very sea creature-like. So, I mean, just think of them as the lobsters of the land, I guess. But to me, they're neater than lobsters. But I like lobsters too. I've learned a lot about lobsters lately. I was watching a really awesome video about lobsters not too long ago. And they are really fascinating. I was learning how long they live and amazing facts about them. So something to look up as well. I highly recommend that. But these guys are pretty neat too. Again, they don't have regular lungs. They breathe with sphericals and their book lungs, which are in their abdomen. And oh my goodness. We do know Xena is a female, by the way, because she is a mother. Look at her age. Oh my gosh. Xena was a mother of 39 babies, almost 40 babies. I wish it wasn't even 40 because that's how my brain works, but 39 babies is what she had. Scorpions are amazing mothers. My favorite fact about them. Scorpions have live babies just like our roach friends do. The babies come out soft and white, and then they actually will harden to have the same color as their mother. But before they harden their exoskeleton when they're first born, they're very vulnerable to predators and the elements. So mom will all the while be hiding in her burrow underground or underneath that rock that we talked about before. This is all scorpions. They'll kind of be in a good safe place while they're giving birth. They'll have the babies, and then the babies will crawl onto their mother's back like an opossum carries her babies on her back. Mother scorpion will actually keep them there on the back for a few weeks usually until their exoskeleton has hardened, and then they'll start to leave little by little. But they'll be in like a little cluster all together on mom's back. And then mom will feed them, make sure they have water, and protect them from enemies. Isn't that amazing? I love them. And speaking of babies, let's say see you later to Xena because we're going to meet one of her babies really fast. I don't normally bring this baby with me because it's very, very tiny. But this is going to be one of the 39 babies that she had. Would you like to see her babies? Let's say goodbye to Xena, the best scorpion on the planet, in my opinion. Okay, Xena, you did beautifully, and we love you. Goodbye, Xena. Okay, let's show you her baby. Her baby does not have a name, but we've been kind of calling it Hercules because, you know, Xena. But we don't know the gender. It's hard to determine the gender of a scorpion when they're very small. But you can absolutely determine their gender as they grow. They have organs on their belly area, which are kind of on the chest of a scorpion underneath. And they're kind of frond-like organs. I forget the name of them. I just looked it up and I forgot it. But they're sensory organs on the bottom of their body underneath. And they look different, male to female. So you can actually tell the gender that way. But on baby scorpions, it's hard. So hopefully soon, this baby will reveal the gender of itself. I'm going to go ahead and scoop this little baby up so you can see. Oh my goodness, so tiny. And they are, to answer Viviana's question, I think earlier, they are a little bit more skittish as babies than they are as adults. Xena is very, very easy to handle. She has her days and moments. When she was taking care of her young, she definitely was not happy with me going in there. This is one of her babies. Little Hercules. Potentially, if it's a male. If not, we'll think of another cool name. Oh my goodness. So here is little baby. It's just a teeny tiny version of mom. It's about a year old. They do grow very slowly. This species of scorpion lives quite a long time. So they do grow up very, very slowly. I can't remember how long they live exactly, but it's much longer than most scorpions do. For example, the next scorpion I'm going to show you, they live around 10 to 15 years. These guys, they can live into their 20s, which is awesome for me. Oh, that's a great view of the baby. It is so tiny and cute. You can see how well it climbs at this age because it's so tiny. Look at that little tiny tail. Aww. At this age, it is eating teeny tiny crickets and other bugs. Doing pretty well. I thought you guys would love to see the baby. You can see it's literally just a miniature of mom. That was so neat to find her with all those babies. She actually came to us already pregnant or gravid. We say the word gravid when it comes to animals like insects and arachnids. Pardon me. But she was already gravid, and I thought she looked a little chunky. I was a little suspicious. And then what do you know? 39 babies appeared one day. We're so excited. You can kind of see the hairs on the baby a little bit better, I think. Maybe if I move out of the way. Can you see the hairs on the baby? That's incredible. Talk about macro. My gosh. So cool. All right, little baby, you did great. I'm not going to put him through too much stress, right? It's so fast. Oh my goodness. A lot of people ask me how their sting feels. I have been stung by Xena and other flat rock scorpions and emperor scorpions too. Their stings are really, really benign. They feel a lot less than an ant bite. In fact, way less, in my opinion. And it goes away very quickly. It's almost like, did that just happen? And then it goes away and you're fine. Okay, baby is now settled back in its little habitat. Okay. Hang Out over there. We have one more animal to show you guys, and you guys have been a fantastic audience today. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is always so much fun to present the live streams to you guys. And don't forget, the live streams are free, but if you like what you see today, there are many ways to donate to our cause. Of course, you can book us for an animal encounter, whether they be a Zoom room or an in-person animal encounter. That's the best way to donate, right? Is by hiring us. Another way you can donate is via our Amazon wish list over at onceinawild.com. You can scroll all the way down to the bottom of website, and you can click the box that says donate to our Amazon wish list, and that is where you can find that wish list and select items to donate to us, which is fun. And another way you can actually donate is through Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal. All of those are at Once in a Wild or $ Once in a Wild, and you can leave us a little tip there if you'd like, and that is always much appreciated. But we love seeing all of your participation, and thank you so very much for joining us today. Here's a great question. Are baby scorpions able to control their venom when they sting? I don't believe they can. And that is like a question also having to deal with baby snakes, right? Baby venomous snakes end up being a little bit more dangerous than adult venomous snakes, because adult venomous snakes can develop a skill of not using venom when they bite. A baby snake likely does not have that skill yet. It's not to say that a baby snake or a baby scorpion could not have that ability. It's not to say that they can't, but adults are much, much more likely to give you a dry bite or a dry sting. But most of the time, if you get stung by an insect or an arachnid like a scorpion, you are going to have some venom in your system if you get stung. So they're really about the same. Don't handle them and you won't get stung. Hopefully one won't sting you ever, right? But yes, I would assume that with baby scorpions, they don't really control it at all. Again, I never heard of a scorpion withholding venom when they sting. I don't know if that's a thing at all. So something to learn. How many babies can they have at a time? Thank you, Steph, for asking. For this species, I believe they can have around 50 at a time. For the African flat rock scorpion we learned about just a little bit ago, Xena. So she had 39, almost 40 babies. And I believe they can have around 50 to 60 babies at a time. But that is what I have researched on my own. Yes, they have quite a few per time. They can have babies more than once in their life because they are a long-lived species. Let's meet one more scorpion, shall we? And we do have a special video of him kind of eating as well. Kind of, sort of. Not as good as the video of Xena. I love that video of her. It's such a great illustration of how they eat. So this here is an emperor scorpion. And he's not nearly as big as Xena, though, because he is still a baby emperor scorpion, but not as small as Xena's baby Hercules. This is Sting. I'm going to make sure he's nice and settled before I show him to the camera. Show the camera to him, whatever. And make sure he's in focus. As you can see, our little Sting here is quite a chunky monkey right now. And they are much busier, by the way, than the African flat rock scorpions. Emperor scorpions like this one crawl around a lot more. So let's see if I can get a better handle on him real quick. I cannot wait for the scorpion to be big. This scorpion can live around 10 to 12 years, I believe. It's around that, I believe, and I think it just depends on the situation. This is the second largest scorpion and the heaviest scorpion in the world, the emperor scorpion. But as you can see, much smaller than Xena because not grown up yet. But as you can see, he's about to molt because he is so fat right now, so full of food. Just ate again for me. Not a picky eater whatsoever. Almost always eats really well for me. And looks like he's getting ready to pop. So hopefully you're going to have a nice molt soon. Speaking of which, I do have a molt to show you of him as well. Pretty awesome. So this species is not brown like the African flat rock scorpion. They're more black. They are just gorgeous. Another species that does glow under a black light as well. You can see how much more active they are than the African flat rock scorpion, which is kind of cool. It's kind of cool to have like a scorpion that's more active and a scorpion species that's more inactive. Need to show people. You're very welcome, and I appreciate you tuning in as always. All right. Well, you guys, I think it's been a fantastic show. Our creepy crawly scorpion is creepy crawling his way around, and I think we had a great creepy crawly show today. I really enjoyed teaching you guys all about some misunderstood animals like invertebrates. So we met some scorpions, we met some Madagascar hissing cockroaches, and we met some tarantulas, which are all three amazing animals. They all have their own purpose in life. and should be respected, right? That's what we're all about here at Once in a Wild. I think we had a fantastic show. I really appreciate you guys being around, and let me know if I can help you with a Zoom room animal encounter or an in-person animal encounter if you're in our area here in San Antonio, Texas, and the surrounding cities. And let us know if we can do anything for you whatsoever. Check us out at onceinawild.com. Go ahead and give us a subscription to YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell, and like the videos and share the videos with all your friends that love animals, and make sure and follow us on Facebook as well as Instagram, which is at Once in a Wild Zoo. We'll love to see you for another show sometime, and thank you for saying I did a great job, and thank you for your emoji of a scorpion. Beautiful. I think they're just gorgeous. If you have any Scorpios out there, I myself am a Virgo. I'm not a Scorpion. How old is this Emperor Scorpion? He's a couple of years old. Now he's about 2. Getting ready to burst at the seams, as you can see. My goodness. Hopefully he'll be getting bigger. They usually double their size as they molt at this age, which is pretty exciting. Can't wait for him to be bigger. What a great animal ambassador he's going to be, and is already. So thank you guys so very much for being here, and I'm going to go ahead and close because it's getting late, and I appreciate everybody who tuned in today, and we shall see you next time here at Once in a Wild. We are nothing close to ordinary, but we love to be your friend. Hold our hands and let's have fun together, singing as loud as you can. Everybody singing Once in a Wild. Together. Once in a Wild. I want to hear you say Once in a Wild. Never fun for me and you. Alrighty, guys, you were a fantastic audience. Thank you so much for following and watching and sharing the videos. And we hope to see you next time, next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Central. He is creepy crawling his way out of here. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.